Inner Lion Media.
When heaven meets earth, when people strive for greater understanding, when myth and legend are understood to be real and life-changing, when people become materially exhausted, unrequited, hopeless and isolated within themselves, at that darkest hour blossoms the flower of innate spirituality. As we ride in this soul car of the material body, it is to be understood that we are so much more than this clockwork combination of earth, water, fire, air, and ether in which we travel through time and space. While admittedly an exquisite machine, the material body is limited by the ever-present, seemingly unconquerable scourges of birth, death, disease, and old age upon the wandering, hungry soul. When one truly understands that they are not this body, but instead reside temporarily within its manifest combination of elements, only to expand their evolutionary jurisdiction and intimate understanding, then blossoms the flower of innate spirituality. When knowledge arises that mortal man is in fact an eternal spiritual qualitative spark of the unlimited divine fire of God, and that there is from the very first moment of time struck a long and loving relationship between the Creator and the created, then surely blossoms the flower of innate spirituality. Here is the opportunity, and now is the hour to dive deeper than we have ever done into the wondrous realm of the ever-expanding field of divine consciousness. A singular chance to understand and embrace our real birthright of Sat, Chit, Ananda, or eternity, knowledge, and bliss ever-increasing and everlasting. It has long been said that sound vibration is a bridge between heaven and earth, and to marry that power to the wisdom of the ages is perhaps the strongest connection made between mortal man and the gods above us. Welcome, then, brothers and sisters, to a unique collection of ancient but also inspired contemporary thought on the true nature of our existence here within this wondrous material realm and beyond. This is your ticket to transcendence. A singular opportunity to fly free, soaring to places unknown but deeply felt. A means of intimate connection and liberating power. This is the Yoga Secrets Series.
Noted internationally known self-help advocate and serious practitioner of devotional yoga, Prana Govindadas was born in Liverpool, England in 1968, admittedly a pretty good year for all things bright and beautiful. He says, "From as early as I can remember, I had an unquenchable thirst for knowledge and a desire to understand the true nature of man and this phenomenal world we live in. I was always seeking out people who could answer my questions about life, the universe, and everything else." After studying film production in the early 90s, Prana was able to fulfill his lifelong desire to travel to India. Admittedly, his first trip changed his life completely and forever. At that point, he says, my thirst for material knowledge turned to a desire to understand the more spiritual side of life. For the next 6 years, I returned frequently and studied many different paths of Hinduism, Buddhism, and various forms of yoga and meditation. However, even after learning and experiencing so much, I was still left somehow unsatisfied and incomplete. In 2001, during the young man's 6th trip to India, he happened to travel to Vrindavan, a holy town associated with Lord Krishna just south of Delhi. It was there that he met his eternal spiritual guide, teacher, and mentor, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami, otherwise affectionately known as Srila Gurudev. My master taught me how to practice bhakti yoga, he remembers, and particularly gave me instructions on how to deeply enter into the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. After meeting him, I knew my search for knowledge, love, and inner peace had come to a conclusion, and I had now found my true path. Since then, some 20 years on, Prana has been resident full-time in his teacher's temples all over the world, particularly India, Australia, America, and Europe. Welcome, then, to the inspirational, engrossing, all-inclusive teachings of Prana Govindadas.
Hare Krishna. My name is Prana Govindadas. And before speaking, I would first like to offer a few short prayers in glorification of my spiritual teacher and our ancient Vedic lineage. Om Gyan Timarandasya Gyananjana Salakya Chaksho Militam Jenu Tasmei Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Srimad-Bhagavatam Narayanite Namane Vandeham Shri Guru Varam Shri Rupa Nugra Pravaram Braja Rasa Rasikam Cha Narayanam Tam Prapanam Shri Guru Charanam Vande Ramam Prestaya Bhutale Rupa Nuga Bhaktitam Cha Kripa Murti Narayanam Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namane Namaste Sarasvati Devi Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pastyatya Desatarane Vanchakalpatubhyascha Kripa Sindhuvevacha Patatanam Pavanabhyo Vaishnavabhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadhanaya Krishna Prema Badayane Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gotavise Namaha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshani Vrishabhanu Suti Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Om Vrindai Tulasi Devi Priyaye Keshavashacha Krishna Bhakti Pradi Devi Satyavachai Nama Namaha Rajashi Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shri Vasari Shigora Bhaktarinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. The subject of Radharani actually is a very confidential topic. It's a very secret and confidential topic, and it's a very esoteric topic. Because we see in most religions, they only have a concept of Godhead being male. But in Krishna consciousness, in this path of Bhakti Yoga that we follow, we can understand that God has a male side and a female side. The thing about, we talk about male and female, we have a mundane conception of what is male and female. So we see male as having male sets of DNA chromosomes and male genitals, right? So we think that is male. And we think female as having female genitals and female DNA chromosome makeup, right? So that's how we identify in the material world, male and female. But actually male and female in the spiritual sense is that the male is the supreme enjoyer. That is Krishna. He is actually the only male, because everything that emanates from him is said to be feminine by nature, and that means to be enjoyed, to be subservient to that one male. So Krishna is the predominating moiety, right? And Radharani is the predominated moiety. So she is the one who serves Krishna. Right? She's the embodiment of all energy, of all Shakti. So she is called Parashakti, the Supreme Shakti. From her emanates all these potencies. All different energies are emanating from Radharani. And all those energies are actually enjoyed by Krishna. Everything is for Krishna and everything is by Krishna. So everything actually belongs to Krishna and everything is for his enjoyment. Bhaktaram Yageta Pasam. He is the enjoyer of everything. Everything belongs to him. And if we become to understand this, if we understand that everything belongs to Krishna, and we offer everything that comes into our life to Krishna, then we align with Krishna. And that is our true natural position. And when we align with Krishna and we become into our true natural position, then we become peaceful and happy because we're in alignment. And everybody wants to be happy and peaceful, right? We want to be aligned. We want to come to our true natural position, which is to be servants of Krishna, to be enjoyed by Krishna, because he is the supreme enjoyer. So Radharani is the topmost servant of Krishna, the topmost. She is his most intimate servant. We can understand that actually Krishna is the Summum Brahman. He's the absolute truth, right? There is nothing beyond Krishna. And Krishna wanted to enjoy loving pastimes. So Krishna, who is one, became two. He expanded as Radharani. He expanded again and again. From his left side came Radharani, and from his right side came Shiva. We can say like this, right? Because we have a material concept of time, distance, place like this. Yeah. So, but actually Radha and Krishna are also eternally existing in separate forms. So we can say Radharani comes from Krishna, but we can also understand the spiritual platform, Radha and Krishna are eternally existing as two separate forms. So Krishna is said to be blackish. He's called Shyama Sundar. Shyam means blackish like a monsoon cloud. If you look at when a monsoon is coming, the clouds are kind of like a bluey, blackish color. So Krishna is said to be like that. Of course, Krishna's body color is completely transcendental, spiritual. So when we try to envision that by looking at material examples, but they can never ultimately touch the color of Krishna and the qualities of Krishna. But we are here in this material world, so we have to use mundane examples, right? So he's called Shama Sundar. So Sundar means beautiful. So he's beautiful like a blackish monsoon cloud. Not completely black and not completely blue. Sort of an in-between, right? So that's why you see pictures of Krishna being this bluey black. His consort, Srimati Radharani, his eternal lover, she is golden. So she's called Gauri. We devotees following the path of Krishna consciousness are called Gaudiya Vaishnavas. So Vaishnava means worshipper of Vishnu. There is many different kinds of Vaishnava sects. Not all are worshipping Krishna 100%. Some are worshipping Narayan or Vishnu. So Vaishnava means Vishnu. Vishnu is another name for Krishna, and Vishnu is also another name for Radharani, right? And Gaudiya Vaishnava, Gaudiya means two aspects to Gaudiya. One is that we are followers of Gauri. Gauri is Radharani. And Gaudiya means coming from the land of Gaudadesh, which is modern-day West Bengal, because our movement was inaugurated. It didn't start, but it was inaugurated 500 years ago in West Bengal. But actually, this Krishna consciousness spiritual path is eternal. It's actually a true religion. Many religions that we see nowadays are aspects of that true religion, but they are modern-day movements. Christianity is 2,000 years old. Islam is 1,000, I think about 1,700 years old. Buddhism, 2,000 years old. Like this. So there's many isms, right? And there's many religious paths, but they are all actually created, and started in this Kali Yuga, since the last 5,000 years. But actually, Sanatan Dharma or Jaiva Dharma is actually the true religion of the soul, the true path of the soul, and that is to serve and love God with all your heart and with all your mind. And that is actually what Jesus came to give, right? So all these other religions, they are making the certain little rituals and rules and what have you, which is somehow or another connected to Sanatan Dharma. Yeah. So this Krishna conscious movement is practicing pure Sanatan Dharma. What is the true nature and the true religion of the soul? Nothing to do with the body. Nothing to do with your gender, your race, your caste, or your age. Yeah? Just like, say, Judaism. To be a Jew, you cannot convert to Judaism. You have to be born a Jew on your mother's side, right? Christianity, you can come to. Islam, you can come to. Hinduism, you can come to. Yeah. But all living entities, by their nature, their true nature is to follow this path of Sanatan Dharma. Right? So how do we do that? How do we become lovers of God? If I want $1 million from you, and you don't have $1 million, you cannot give me $1 million. But if you have $1 million, you can give me $1 million. So who has that love for God? Who has that topmost, highest love for God? That is Srimati Radharani, Radha. Radha is known by many names. Radha, Radharani, Radhika, Gauri, many, many unlimited names. Just like Krishna is unlimited, his names are unlimited. Radharani is unlimited, her names are unlimited. So Radharani is situated on that platform. Radha and Krishna are always together in the spiritual world. Now, we see that there is 3 aspects of the dam. The dam means the spiritual platform, right? There is the eternal dam, which is the spiritual world, Chit Dam, and that is beyond these material senses. And that dam is perpetually going on in the spiritual world. There's pastimes of Radha and Krishna and his other friends and family. They're going on right now in the spiritual world. That's the kingdom of God. And then there is the dam that comes down into this material world. 5,000 years ago, Krishna and Radha and the whole entourage came down into this material world and here to this area, Vrindavan. So they performed pastimes here, and after some time, they wrapped up those pastimes and went to the next universe where they were performing those pastimes. So that is the dam that is present here. So the spiritual dam is called Aprakat Dam, Aprakat, where the Aprakat Leela is going on. Leela means pastimes. Just like you and I, we may have a pastime of meeting, and at sometimes we have a pastime of saying goodbye, separating, see you later, okay? So this is a pastime. We meet and we come together, we do something together. Right now, we're making a recording, and that is called Leela, pastime, right? We have a pastime. So when Krishna comes to this material world, his Leela, or his pastime, is called Prakat. It means manifest. It's manifest to our eyes, our vision, our hearing, our understanding, right? We can see what's going on if we were here 5,000 years ago, right? But whatever was going on here 5,000 years ago was all written down and handed down from guru to disciple, and it was written down in the ancient Vedic scriptures, the Srimad-Bhagavatam, the Bhagavad Gita, Jayavadharma, Chaitanya Chandramrita, books like this, and we can read those books now, study those books, and we can hear about these things from the guru, from the teacher. And then there is the dam that we are living in now, right? Which is kind of the Maya Vrindavan. Okay, that's the Vrindavan that we see, made out of what we perceive as material energy. Everything here in Vrindavan is spiritual, but our senses are not spiritualized yet. So we're actually just seeing the material version of Vrindavan. You know, like the other day we were talking about the curtain. So the curtain is shut for us at the moment. We're not seeing beyond the curtain. Right? We're not seeing the spiritual world. So we're seeing the Vrindavan where there's dogs and pigs and houses and buildings, and all the trees are being cut down, and the roads are being paved, you know, and there's monkeys and stool everywhere and rubbish. That's the material dam that we're seeing, the material Vrindavan. So the purpose of this path is that we'll be able to see, understand, and enter into that aprakat Leela, that unmanifest to our material senses Leela, pastime. We'll be able to enter into the kingdom of God, the spiritual world, where we will be eternally present with Radha and Krishna. By our association of the sadhus and the spiritual masters, by the self-realized souls, then by associating with them and following them, then different levels of realization will come to us, different levels of understanding. We may, in our present state, not completely realize who is Radha and Krishna, you know, complete realization. But some realization, some understanding may come along the way. So understanding and realization comes by association with those who are already self-realized. So according to a level of association, we will get that level of understanding. Yeah. So the unifying principle is that we understand that, like we were saying, that Radha is the topmost loving servant of Krishna. Yeah. She's very beautiful. In fact, Krishna, everybody's attracted to Krishna, right? Even everyone who doesn't even know who Krishna is attracted to Krishna because they're attracted to his material energy, right? They're attracted to objects of this world. You know, a normal person, a conditioned soul, which we all are, is attracted somehow or another to the beauty of this world. But that beauty is just a spark of Krishna's splendor. Right? So in some way or another, even if we don't know who Krishna is, we're still attracted to Krishna because we're attracted to his energy, right? And his energy is non-different from Krishna. Shakti, Shaktiman, right? Abhidaya. This means that Krishna and his energy are one, right? And so therefore, if we're attracted to anything from Krishna's energy, we're attracted to Krishna, right? So this is Krishna's mystical way about him, that somehow or another, he's enabling everyone to come towards Krishna in some form or another. Everybody is attracted to Krishna in some form or another. And that is how the soul will gradually progress in this material world. Krishna is very loving and very caring. He wants everybody to be there with him in the spiritual world. We came here out of our own selfishness. We desired to enjoy this material world separate from God, separate from Krishna. Now, everybody now is suffering in this material world. Who is not suffering, right? Only a fool thinks he's not suffering. And usually a fool covers his suffering by taking intoxication or by just striving again and again for objects of this material world so that he can forget that he's suffering. But if you take all those objects away, if you take all the intoxication of this world, and when I say intoxication, it doesn't mean just drugs and alcohol. It means being intoxicated by the lust of this material world with, trying to enjoy your senses. That's an intoxication. You become intoxicated with desires of lust and greed and anger, So if you take all those things away, a person will see how much exactly we're suffering, The body's decaying. The body will become diseased. The body is dying at every moment. It's only the body, not the soul. So there's so much suffering is there. We just get a little headache and we have to take a painkiller, right? We get heartache when our lover leaves us. If we don't get what we desire, we get pain and we get suffering. Any child knows that. When they don't get an iPhone nowadays or an iPad, so much crying, so much weeping, so much suffering, is there. It's an interesting thing, actually, because Jesus is an aspect of God, He is a Shakti Vaishya avatar. So Krishna also had a mother Yashoda. You see, Krishna is unborn. He's eternal, all right? But in order to enjoy loving pastimes, he is born from Mother Yashoda. Now, in the spiritual world, Mother Yashoda is there, and there is just a concept of that he was born from Mother Yashoda. He's eternally present as a 14-year-old beautiful boy. But Mother Yashoda always sees him as her little baby, right? When Krishna came into this material world, again, he was born from Mother Yashoda. And actually, it's an historical fact. People actually saw that this baby was born from Mother Yashoda. So he performed human-like pastimes. And we see that Radharani, she was also, she came into being in this material world. Now, here's the esoteric fact. Here's the part of the esotericism, which is, we have to expand our consciousness to understand these things. Krishna appears in Mathura, all right? That is 10 kilometers here away from Vrindavan, okay? He appears, right, in the prison of King Kamsa, okay, who had imprisoned Devaki and Vasudevi. Vasudev and Devaki. Devaki was the sister of Kamsa. Kamsa was an evil king who was the king of this area of Mathura at the time. And Kamsa had been told by an aerial voice, a voice from the sky, that the 8th son of Devaki, his sister, would kill him. Now, any demoniac person, if he finds out he's going to be killed by someone, will try to kill that person. A demoniac person doesn't want to die. He wants to rule over, material nature. So he will do anything to rule over material energy. He will do anything to protect himself. So he thought, therefore, I have to kill the 8th son of Devaki. So what he did is he imprisoned Devaki and her husband, Vasudev, and she had 8 children, okay? And he killed each one of them because he didn't know which would be the person that killed them. So the 8th son actually was Krishna, okay? Now, it was kind of an immaculate birth. Instead of coming from her womb, he appeared as this amazing 14-year-old 4-armed form, right, with a crown and beautiful jewelry and very effulgent. And he had just appeared there in the prison cell. And they were struck with wonder that this child had just appeared there. But she had love for him because this is my child. So they prayed to him, please, if you have this form, then everybody will laugh at me because I've just given birth to a 14-year-old with a crown and armor and jewels, and your 14-year-old body, right? Okay, so please become like a young child. And so he said, okay, I will become and he immediately appeared like a baby, okay? Like a normal, two-armed, beautiful little baby. It's a long story, but somehow or another, Vasudev managed to smuggle that little baby out, and they brought that baby here to Vrindavan, where Mother Yashoda had just given birth to two babies, right? But because she was very tired, she only thought she'd given birth to one baby. In those days, as is now, sometimes when the baby comes out, it's actually a very easy process for a lady. Not always, but sometimes it's a very easy process. So she'd been sleeping, tired, and the babies had come out, right? It'd been very late at night. It was actually around midnight. So when Vasudev bought that baby from Mathura, from the prison cell, he brought it here to Mother Yashoda's house. Why? Because Nanda, the husband of Mother Yashoda, was a brother of Vasudev. So they knew that he could take it to his brother's house, So he bought it, and he looked down into Mother Yashoda's bed, and he saw one baby girl. He did not see the other baby, the male baby that was born. He just saw the one baby girl. So what he did is he put that baby that he bought, the little baby Krishna, he bought that baby Krishna and picked up the female baby and took that female baby back to Mathura, smuggled him back into the prison, right? Yeah, it's a long story. We can go into that in another detail. And then in the morning, Kamsa woke up and had heard that there was a baby born, and they saw that it was a female. But that baby that he bought from Mathura to Vrindavan, as he put it down, what he didn't see is that baby merged into the baby Krishna that was born from Mother Yashoda. Okay? It's a very esoteric thing. It's not a normal thing to do, right? It's not a mundane thing. So we understand that that baby Krishna that was born from Mother Yashoda in Vrindavan, that's the eternal Supreme Krishna. That is Brajendanandana Shyamasundar, the Krishna that is always in Vrindavan, always in the spiritual Vrindavan and always in the Vrindavan here. And that Krishna that was born in Mathura, or appeared in Mathura, that was bought and merged, that was Vishnu, which is an expansion of Krishna. He has 4 arms. So he's a partial expansion of Krishna. That Vishnu merged into Krishna. Krishna is complete, He has all the incarnations of Krishna are within Krishna. So he appeared there. So kind of esoteric, right? So then that baby Krishna, he was about 1 year old. And then they found out that there'd been a baby born not far from here, not far from Vrindavan, in a place called Vrishabhanupur or Raval. There's one place called Raval. And that was a beautiful little baby girl. Very beautiful. So gorgeous. Everybody was coming and saying how beautiful, but one problem was there. She didn't open her eyes. They thought, oh my God, she's blind. And they were fretting what to do. She's blind. She hasn't opened up her eyes. So because they're all related, all these families are all related, word got to Krishna's parents, Mother Yashoda and Nanda Baba. So Mother Yashoda decided to bring Krishna and go to see this beautiful little girl that was born in Raval, which was now in Vrishabhanu Maharaj's place. That's a whole nother story. Vrishabhanu Maharaj is the father of Radharani. So they took little baby Krishna there, and they left little baby Krishna, who's now 1 year old, and by the cot of Radharani. And he got to the little cot of Radharani, and he looked over the side, and he looked at Radharani, and what did Radharani do? She opened her eyes. The first thing she saw was Krishna. And immediately there was a bond of love there. We know in India that a girl and a boy, they're married at a very, very young age. Like they can be married at 4 years old, 6 years old, 8 years old. Don't be shocked. What it means is that they are they are shown to each other, and it's betrothed that it will be my husband and that will be my wife. That person will be my husband and that will be my wife. So they grow up, all their youth, they're growing up that knowing that that is my husband, right? So there's already been an exchange of love. And at 18 or 20 or 21, then they will have an official marriage. They won't come together before then. So it's a very nice system, actually. In the West, we think we can just go and have many boyfriends and girlfriends, and eventually then we get married. But it means the consciousness has been somewhat contaminated, somewhat spoiled. But the tradition is actually they're married at a very young age. And then they understand that, the lady will understand, that's my husband. The husband will understand, I will marry that girl, when they're 21 or whatever. So Radharani saw Krishna and immediately understood, this is my lover. This is my eternal beloved. And Krishna understood that too. So then they grew up in the village, and sometimes they would be able to meet as youths and like this. But at 10 years old, Krishna had to leave Vrindavan, and he went to Mathura and he killed Kamsa. He killed that King Kamsa and freed his other parents, Devaki and Vasudeva, from the prison house. And Radharani stayed behind here in Vrindavan. Now, we're saying 10 years old, but this is 5,000 years ago. So a 10-year-old 5,000 years ago is like a 14 or a 16-year-old now. They grew up quicker and different. It was a different mood, a different age. So then Radharani was suffering so much in separation. And she didn't see Krishna again for many, many years, until there was a solar eclipse, and they again met in Kurukshetra. Kurukshetra is the place where the Bhagavad Gita was spoken. It was many years later.
Part 2.
By that time, Krishna had married 16,108 queens. All right, he's God; he can do that. Okay, so he'd married all these queens, but he was never happy. He wasn't happy there. And Krishna, we know in Vrindavan, always has a flute. He plays a beautiful flute, and by that flute song, he calls the cows and the gopis. The cows, because he's just playing as a simple cowherd boy. He goes out in the forest every day and he herds the cows. He's a gopa, a cowherder. We see, in pictures of Krishna everywhere. We often see him with a flute and a cow. And he also has a peacock feather. That peacock feather was given to him at a very early age by a peacock as an expression of love. Krishna likes peacocks because if we look at the top of the feather of a peacock, we can see in Sanskrit the word Radha is there. It's written there, Radha. So when he sees the peacock, he remembers Radharani. So he becomes very happy. And when the peacock sees Radha and Krishna, they always do a nice little dance. They put their feathers up and they do a little dance. That's why on the altar, we always fan Krishna with a peacock feather. Fanning him means actually we're imitating the dance of the peacock. And that's very pleasing. Like when you see a peacock dance, it's very pleasing. It looks very nice, right? So there's that. So when he was in Dwarka, Krishna, married to these 16,108 queens, he did not have a peacock feather. He did not have his flute. And he didn't have his true love, Radharani. He only had a memory of Radharani. And every day he would cry and weep for Radharani. And every day Radharani was in Vrindavan crying and weeping for Krishna. In fact, at that time, Vrindavan became like a ghost town. No one was happy anymore. Mother Yashoda stopped cooking because all her cooking was for Krishna. So everything became dry. All the green leaves wilted. Cobwebs were in the kitchen because nobody was cooking for Krishna anymore. Everybody dried up. Radharani was only maintaining her life because of the promise of Krishna that one day he would come back. Just because of that promise, when he left all those years before, he left to Mathura, he promised, I will come back. 1 or 2 days I will come back. And just because of that promise, she maintained her life. And why? Not because of her own desires that she wanted to see Krishna, because she thought, if Krishna comes back, he will want to see me. I'll be here for him. That's real love, right? I'm not maintaining my life for myself so I can enjoy. She's thinking, I'm maintaining my life so that Krishna can enjoy being with me. Yeah, I'm here for Krishna. So because of that desire, she maintained a life for many, many years, many, many years. And then at one point, because of the solar eclipse, all the people of Vrindavan understood that they should go to this place, Kurukshetra, and they knew Krishna would be there with all the queens. And so the whole of Vrindavan left Vrindavan, and they all went in a big caravan of, bullock carts. And they went all the way from Vrindavan to Kurukshetra. It takes quite a few days to get there from here, right? Kurukshetra, there was a great lake. And so when you have a solar eclipse, it's good to go to a holy place and bathe in that lake after the eclipse, because you become contaminated because of the eclipse. So it's good to bathe in a lake, in a holy lake after that. So everyone was meeting in Kurukshetra. So the caravan from Vrindavan, led by Nanda Baba and Mother Yashoda, the parents of Krishna, and with Radharani and all the gopis and all the gopas, the cowhead friends of Krishna, they met there with Krishna. And Krishna again became like a young boy again. He ran to Mother Yashoda and he sat on her lap and started sucking from her breast, because her milk just started flowing. As soon as she saw Krishna, it became like he was like a little boy again, like a baby. And he started sucking from the breast of Mother Yashoda. And then after that, he was able to meet with Radharani and the gopis. So who are the gopis? They are the cowhead maidens. And there's unlimited gopis in the spiritual world. And they are all expansions of Radharani. Every single one of them is a different expansion and a different mood of Radharani. That's why Krishna can enjoy with all those gopis. Yeah. In this material world, we cannot enjoy with many girls, right? A boy should be with one woman, a woman should be with one man. That's that's dharmic, right? But Krishna, he can enjoy with unlimited girls. Why? Because all those girls are expansions of Radharani. And who is Radharani? It's an expansion of Krishna. So it's like Krishna is enjoying with himself. So he is, whatever he does, whatever Krishna does is 100% dharmic. If we try to imitate what Krishna does, if we try to enjoy with many girls, particularly the wives of many husbands, then it's adharmic. It's called parakya. It's called adultery. We cannot do that, right? But Krishna, he can enjoy with unlimited girls in the spiritual world, unlimited gopis, and Radharani, of course, is the head of all those gopis. And when he's enjoying with all those gopis, he's actually enjoying himself, because everything is for him, right? And everything is an expansion of Krishna. Krishna is what's the word? Krishna is Rasik Shaker. He's the enjoyer of all moods of love. So he enjoys all these different little tastes of love that these gopis each have as an individual talent, an individual little aspect of love that he likes to enjoy. So he can enjoy with them all. But the embodiment of all those loves, all those amazing talents is Radharani. And when Krishna, the most mystical thing is that when Krishna does go with some of the other gopis, sometimes Radharani gets into a sulky mood. It's called man. She gets into a sulky mood and she refuses to see Krishna. Krishna will try to come to Radharani, but Radharani's girlfriends will say, no, you black cheater, get away from here. You've been with other girls. You go away. Why does she do this? Is Radharani really, really angry? Is she really jealous? Really, her anger and jealousy is only because Krishna likes that. He likes to have that sport, that mood. He likes that mellow. He likes that taste, that ras of having to try and defeat Radharani's sulky mood. We want to enjoy with others, right? Because Krishna wants to enjoy with others. But the thing is, when we try to enjoy others, we maybe try to enjoy somebody's body. So we want to enjoy with others, but we come again into disappointment and suffering when we try to enjoy this material world. Our hearts are broken, our senses are damaged. You know what I mean? So like this, we have to suffer again and again, because actually everything is for Krishna's enjoyment. If we understand that, then we can really enjoy spiritually, because we are also, like Krishna is the supreme enjoyer, we are small enjoyers, right? But what we're trying to do is enjoy the material energy, which is temporary. Krishna, here's one thing, right? So there is unlimited energies, right? Krishna is the possessor of immense potencies, immense, unlimited energies. But there's three main energies. There's the internal potency, Chit Shakti, right? That's the internal potency. There is the material energy, that is Maya Shakti, right? And then there is the marginal potency, which again expands as the Jiva Shakti, that's us, the soul, right? The soul is part of the marginal potency, right? And that is superior to the material potency, because the material potency is Jad. Jad means inert. That's the word for inert, means Jad. It means it's dead material matter. And it's only alive because the Paramatma and the soul is within that energy, and so it becomes animated, right? Just like my body. I won't say your body because I'm going to say something about being dead, right? So if my body now, if I die, my body will just lie on the ground and it will become dead matter. It will start to decompose and rot, right? But my body is alive now because my soul and the Paramatma, the super soul, are within the body. So it's animated. But as soon as you remove my soul and Paramatma, the super soul and the soul, as soon as they are taken out of this body, then this body just becomes a rotting corpse, dead matter. But what is that made out of? Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, these 8 material energies of mine, Bhumu, Nalo, Vapo, right, like this. These 8 material energies, earth, water, fire, air, and ether, and mind, intelligence, and false ego, which are the 3 subtle energies. These are his material energies, right? And then there's the Chit Shakti, the spiritual potency. And that is the spiritual world, which is actually all-encompassing, but we don't see it because of Maya, right? Because of the illusion. So that Chit Shakti. And within that Chit Shakti, again, there's 3 energies. There is Sandini, Samvit, and Hladini. So Sandini is the existence potency. Existence means that potency that manifests the complete spiritual world, Goloka Vrindavan, and all the objects and the forms of that spiritual world. That's all manifest through Sandini Shakti. And this is all very esoteric. We can explain more in other classes. Sandini potency, the head of that is Baladev, Balaram, Krishna's brother, because even God has a brother, right? Human-like pastimes, you see? Then the head of the Samvit Shakti, which is the knowledge potency, is Krishna. And then the head of the Hladini Shakti, which is the pleasure potency, that is Radharani. She is the queen of pleasure for Krishna. She is the embodiment of Hladini Shakti. She is there 100% to please Krishna. So Gaudiya Vaishnavism, what we practice, is we align with the mood of Radharani. We are here to please Krishna. And Krishna gives instructions on how to please himself, right? We chant Hare Krishna. We offer our food to Krishna. We worship the deity. We hear and chant about the different pastimes of Krishna. We serve the Vaishnavas, the spiritual teachers, the gurus, who are manifestations coming from the spiritual world. And they are all fully in line with Radharani. If we try to please Radharani, if we try to do some service to Radharani, we'll please Krishna. All right? So it's very pleasing to Krishna if we align with Radharani's mood of becoming servants of Krishna. If we try to please Krishna, we'll please Radharani. If Radharani's pleased, she'll give mercy. She'll give pleasure. She'll give kripa, mercy. And because Radharani is the is the embodiment of supreme pleasure. If Radharani is feeling happy with us, we'll feel happy. Our soul will feel happy. Krishna cannot experience love in relationships if there was only Krishna. All right? How can he experience loving relationships? So he manifests as different personalities. And his first manifestation is Radharani. And he also manifests as his brother, Baladev. And he also manifests as Shiva. And then Shiva expands into the Shiva that comes into this material world and takes care of those people who are not aligned with Krishna. And Radharani also expands. She expands as Mahamaya, Durga, right? Shiva's Shakti. Shiva Shakti is an expansion of the Supreme Shakti, Radha and Krishna. Everything leads back to Krishna. See, in India, many people worship Shiva and Durga. Shiva and Mahamaya, right? Because they're averse to Krishna. They're averse to worshipping God in his supreme form. So they're very kind. Godhead is very kind. Okay, they're averse to worshipping me, but Shiva takes care of them. Shiva takes care of those people in Tamagun. You know, Tamagun means the mode of ignorance. That's why we see many Babas in India. They smoke chillums with ganja and they say, Boom Shankar, Boom Shiva. They're offering the ganja to Shiva. Shiva's very kind because smoking ganja is actually in tama. It's a tamasic thing. It's in the mode of ignorance. So when you offer it to Shiva, Shiva's coming and he's taking care of those people and gradually purifying them and elevating their consciousness so that eventually we can come to more higher understanding, you know, and more detachment from this material world. And then we can turn our gaze more towards Krishna, to Radha and Krishna. Varshana is where a beautiful palace is, and that was said to be the childhood home of Radharani. But she appeared in Raval, which is not far from there, Raval. She appeared there. Here's another esoteric thing. She actually appeared on a lotus, which was floating on the lake. She wasn't born from Vishwabhanu's wife, Kirtida, but Vishwabhanu Maharaj. When I say Maharaj, Maharaj means king. So a king of the village in those days was like a small king, not like the king and queen of England where they rule over the whole country. There was village kings. So Vishwabhanu Maharaj, he was the king of his village in that area, and his wife, the queen, was Kirtida. So they already had a son, Sridham, and one day he was taking bath in this lake in Raval, and he saw this beautiful lotus flower, and he looked in that lotus flower, and there was a beautiful little baby, and that was Radharani. So they took that Radharani and they brought him back to his palace. And that's the story of, you know, how Radharani came into this world. Kusum means lotus, Sarova means lake. So that is a place which, when Krishna was here, that lake was full of lotuses. And Krishna would sport there. You know, he would have water pastimes, water sports with Radharani and the other gopis. Yeah. So, you know, many nice little pastimes would take place there, you know, playing with each other, splashing each other with water, loving pastimes. Actually, everywhere in Vrindavan is sacred places of Radharani because Radharani and Krishna are always together. Krishna just appears to go off sometimes and he herds the cows, but he's always meeting with Radharani. And the topmost place is Radhakund. Radhakund, we know of Radhakund. So Radhakund is actually a place where Radha and Krishna meet every day around midday. Every day they meet around midday from 12 to about 3:30. They meet there and they have beautiful, loving pastimes, very intimate pastimes together. They meet there. And then after about 3:34, then Krishna goes back to where his cows are and all his boyfriends. His boyfriends are there, the gopas, his friends. And they would herd the cows back into the village where Mother Yashoda and Nanda Baba would be. And Radharani then would go back to Yavat. Not Varshana, because Varshana was when she was a child. But actually, here's another esoteric thing. Radharani is married. She gets married at an early age to Abhimanyu, right? In the spiritual world, there is this conception that she's married to Abhimanyu. But when they come into this material world, 5,000 years ago, they go through some process of marriage. But who is Abhimanyu? Abhimanyu is just an expansion of Krishna. Yeah, because Radharani cannot be married to anybody else, any other man. But that Abhimanyu never touches Radharani. It's like a childhood marriage, you know. It's a marriage of when the marriage is done by the parents. But Radharani had no interest in Abhimanyu, and Abhimanyu is said to have no interest in Radharani. Okay, but that real Abhimanyu really is just an expansion of Krishna. So no one can touch Radharani apart from Krishna. Pastimes in the 8 different time divisions of the day. Each time division is 2 or 3 hours, and it extends through the 24 hours. So at nighttime, let's say at nighttime, it's called Nishanta Leela. It's late at night, they meet together, and they spend all night together. And they're intimately served by some of the head gopis. So Radha and Krishna spend all night together having beautiful, loving pastimes. Of course, these are not mundane pastimes. They're not mundane lovemaking like we have. So they're beyond the conception of our mind on our present state. Beautiful, loving pastimes. And then in the morning, they part very early in the morning. Radharani goes back to her village, Yavat, to be with her in-laws, because she lives with her in-laws. Krishna goes back and runs and jumps back into his bed. And Mother Yashoda comes in the morning and wakes him up. And she sees all these scratches from his loving pastimes, you know, on his body and his clothes all disheveled. And she thinks, oh, those boys, when they're playing with Krishna, they're so rough, they've scratched Krishna. And, you know, he's had no sleep, you know, apart from half an hour when he gets back to bed. So he just quickly jumps up, washes his face, and then he goes and milks the cows. You know, he milks the cows, and then he plays with his boyfriends, and he has some breakfast, and then he takes the cows out herding in the forest. But why is he really taking the cows out herding in the forest? Just so that he can secretly meet with Radharani. So he meets with Radharani, and they spend from around 12 o'clock, 11:30, 12 o'clock to around 3:30, they spend together in Radhakund, in that area there. There's kunjas, which means like little garden bowers, little shady garden areas. And then again, he herds the cows back to his home, wherever that is, because Krishna's village would move often, you know. And then then in the nighttime, they all come together in a big hall, and there is two boys, and they speak all the pastimes of Krishna to the audience, and everybody loves to hear it. And there's dancing and there's singing. And then again at nighttime, he sneaks out, and Radharani sneaks out, and they meet together. And at certain times of the year, there is the Ras dance. The Ras dance is when Radha and Krishna and all the gopis, no other male, only Krishna is the only male, and all the gopis and Radharani, they all come together and they dance all night long. Actually, those dances are said to last the length of one day of Brahma, 4,320,000,000 years. So I guess they're still going on. All right. They say even the moon stands still because it's always lit by the full moon. Those dances are always on the full moon. That's the light that everyone can see. And there's beautiful music. And Krishna expands themselves as 1,000,000 Krishnas to dance with 1,000,000 gopis. And every gopi thinks she is dancing with Krishna. So this is going on. This is going on. And like there's two main ones, like the full moon in Kartik time, which is around October, November, and the full moon in the spring, Vashant Leela, and the one in Kartik, Saradya Leela. So these are going on eternally. So in the spiritual world, all these things are going on eternally because this time dimension in the spiritual world is eternal. Everything is now. But our material conception is past, present, and future. But all those things are going on present right now, at this moment. At the moment, Radha and Krishna are dancing together. At this moment, Radha and Krishna are meeting in Radhakund. You know, because it's all going on now, eternally present, you know, which is beyond the conception of our material conception. We cannot understand these things. Like Srila Prabhupada said, in Vrindavan, everybody says Radhe Radhe or Jai Shri Radhe. This is the common thing because everyone in Vrindavan, everyone who's born in Vrindavan worships Radharani. They all understand that Radha is the queen of Vrindavan. She's Vrindavaneshwari, the queen of Vrindavan. So like this. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari. Radha is the queen of Vrindavan. Everybody loves Radharani here, you know. And Krishna likes it that way. Krishna says, he says this in the Bhagavad Gita, he says, those that say they are my devotee, they are not my devotee. right? Those that say they are my devotee are not my devotee. But those that say they are the devotee of my devotee, they are really my devotee. Krishna is not interested in worship of only himself. He he accepts worship from those that are worshipping or are devoted to his devotees. And who is the topmost devotee of Krishna? Radharani. She is the topmost. So if we worship Radharani, if we devote our lives to serving Radharani, Krishna is most happy. And how do we do that? By chanting Hare Krishna, by serving the deity, by taking prasadam, by hearing and chanting these sacred pastimes. It's a very simple process. That's all we have to do. Hearing and chanting is the main process. We don't really have to do anything much else apart from that. And by that, we are worshipping Radharani and therefore worshipping Krishna. And that is what is pleasing Krishna the most, rather than negating Radharani. See, some movements, some temples, they neglect Radharani. Krishna's not happy with this. He's not happy. He likes it when Radharani is included because Radharani is his love. If you have someone very dear to you and we meet on the street and I neglect that friend that's near to you, you know, I'm only interested in talking to you and I just like despising that dear girlfriend or friend of yours, you won't be happy, will you, you know? Because you want to include that person in your life. So therefore, anybody who comes to you should include that person too, should respect that person who's dear to you, right? So Krishna is the same, because in him, everything is pure and complete. In Gaudiya Vaishnava, anybody who's really following Gaudiya Vaishnava, in our line, leading back to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, which further leading back to Narottam Das Thakur, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, leading back to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Radha and Krishna themselves combined. If we're really followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then this conception of Radha and Krishna consciousness is the ultimate. And actually, what we are aspiring for is something called Radha Dasyam. Radha Dasyam means to become the servant of Radharani. This is what my Gurudev, this is his mission, to preach this mission of Radha Dasyam. Right? And other temples, other missions, they may or may not stress this point, because their mission is attracting people who are on a certain level. Right? Just like when Prabhupada first came to the West, when he first came, he was explaining Krishna is the supreme absolute truth. Krishna is God. And he very much stressed Krishna. And he talked about Radharani, but not as much as he was talking about Krishna, because he needed to establish first who is Godhead, right? Who is God? And that is Krishna. And then when our senses, when our understanding is purified, then he introduced Radharani. Radharani is his eternal consort. Radharani is the supreme absolute goddess. And Radha and Krishna are always having beautiful, loving pastimes first. But first he had to establish something called Sambandha, our relationship with God, with Krishna. He had to establish that first. So to establish that, he stressed very much, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But when my Gurudev, Srila Narayan Maharaj, when he started preaching, which was in 96, he first went to the West. Prabhupada came in the 60s. My Gurudev came in the 90s. So 30 years later, when the collective consciousness of the world had been a little bit purified, many devotees of Prabhupada had further progressed in their path. My Gurudev then said, your Prabhupada came to teach you that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But I've come here to teach you to forget that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and just to understand that he is the darling son of Mother Yashoda. In other words, if we develop a relationship with Krishna, at one point we'll forget that he's God. And we'll just think he is my eternal lover, my best friend, my everything, you know? Like we were talking before, if we have always this conception, Krishna's God, then there'll be some division between us and them, because we'll think of God as being, you know, the generator, operator, destroyer, the great big guy in the sky, the boss, like this, you know what I mean? And there won't be an intimate relationship. But our intimate relationship is always through Radharani. Radharani is our queen. She's our Vrindavaneshwari. She's our everything. All right? Through her, we serve Krishna. And therefore, we never have direct, like, we have intimate relationship with Krishna, but we don't have direct, intimate meetings with Krishna. We're always planning for Radharani to meet with Krishna. We always want Radha and Krishna to be together. We never want them to be separated. That's why we never have pictures of Radha and Krishna alone. If we do, like where there is one picture of Radharani, she's alone, but she's weeping because she's thinking of Krishna. Right.
Radhe 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 Bolo, Radhe Govinda Bolo. 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 Radhe 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 Bolo, Radhe Govinda Bolo.
Oh, deep blue Lord of my heart, show me your unmasked face, shining like 1,000 suns in an empty sky. Oh, ragged soul, unleash me from the body, free me from mind, release me from the iron grip of the senses, banish me forever from this weary world. Dear Redeemer, I bow to you by the reedy river, see you in the trees, gather you in the harvest, breathe you in the morning breeze. Soul shaker, shake loose my pride, turn me upside down, drown me in your foaming tide. Lord Shri Krishna, smiling cowherd of Vrindavan, allow me entrance into your abode, but only as a speck of dust along your road, or a feather fallen from your proud peacocks, a drop of water in your ocean. Nothing grand may I be, but grand enough to live with thee.
Radhe 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 Bolo, Radhe Govinda Bolo. Radhe 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 Bolo, Radhe Govinda Bolo. Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
We hope you've enjoyed this Inner Lion Media presentation. Inner Lion Media. Thank you for listening.